Hi, everybody, and welcome to another episode of Overruled. And I'm so glad that you all are here. It looked like there was a lot of people here ahead of time, which flatters me so much. Thank you. I appreciate you being here and being in the chat, all of that good stuff. Today, we're going to talk about a case that is kind of haunted me since it happened because I lived here. It happened here. So it happened in North Georgia where I live. And I was here at the time, and I remember following it on the local news, and I actually pulled up some local news stories. So as I'm telling the story, I'll put some of those in there. So let's say hi to the people in the chat before we get started. Parson, nice to see you. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Glad you're here. Paracord Princess, glad to have you. Christo, always good to see you. Thanks for coming. Yo Mama is here, and as you guys know, Yo Mama is my mama, so please behave yourself in the chat. Tell me if you're just because my mama also lives here in North Georgia. So if any of you have heard of this before or remember when this happened and watched it on local news, let me know. I think it was national news at the time. And I know there's at least a handful of people that either live in or did live in North Georgia who sometimes watch my show. My brother is here. Team Bandit 2804. Hello. What is really going on? What is really going on? I'm not sure what is really going on. I'm going to tell you about a young woman named Meredith Emerson today. And her murder thankfully was solved because it ended up solving a bunch of other cases. Oh, I see Major Victory here. Also, I missed somebody else. Oh, Quest Fanning is over here on Rumble and has donated $5. So Zena will get a milk bone. And Erica, always good to see you. Thanks for being here, Erica. If I missed anybody, I'm sorry. And I'll get back to you guys later. But first, before I get started on this story, Quest Fanning did buy Zena a milk bone. Just so you guys know, if you're new here, when somebody donates to me while I'm live, even when I'm not live, Zena, my co-host over here, she does a lot of the heavy lifting. So we like to reward her. So anytime somebody does donate, she gets a milk bone. Quest Fanning donated over there on Rumble. I am monetized on Rumble, so you can donate straight from Rumble. But if you don't want to go over to Rumble, I totally understand. You can go to buymeacoffee.com/KDZ and buy Zena a milk bone there. So let's get Zena a milk bone and then I'll dig into the story. We'll take another break about halfway through. This is a very sad case, so I'm not going to interrupt as people donate, but when you donate, I will save it. And then halfway through, if anybody has donated at that time, we'll give her milk bones. And then again at the end. If you guys are okay with that. If you hate that idea, this is new. But if you hate that idea, let me know. Hey, Zena, I got some good news for you. I got some very good news for you. Do you remember Quest? Oh, you do? I see the tail wag. He got you a milk bone. Do you want it? Okay, she does want it. Okay, you gotta do that shake. Oh, that's a good girl. Thank you very much, Quest. I really appreciate that. All right, let me put the chat back up over here. And yeah, if you guys want to put links in the chat, go ahead and do that. I can't put links through Restream. So that's what you guys are for. That's what the wrenches are for. You can put the links in the chat if you'd like. I appreciate it. All right. So Meredith Emerson. I'll put the QR code on top as well. And then I'll take that one off the screen. I'm just telling you guys exactly everything I'm doing right now. I'm going to take this one off the screen and just leave the little QR code up so we can see a picture of this beautiful woman named Meredith Emerson. Meredith Emerson grew up in Colorado and in North Carolina. South Carolina? I should probably get my notes in front of me before I start talking. Let's see. She originally was born in North Carolina in a suburb of Raleigh called Holly Springs, North Carolina. And then she actually grew up as a kid in Longmont, Colorado. But she was accepted to the University of Georgia and had she ended up graduating with honors from UGA with a Cecil Wilcox Award for Excellence in French. I'm trying to figure out the best way to do this. So I found this article about her. Why did it do that? This is not the article. Interesting. I swear I had it all queued up. All right. Well, there was an article about the Cecil Wilcox Award that apparently skipped to the next article while I wasn't looking. But what they did, it was a scholarship program, and now they do that same scholarship that she had received in her honor at UGA every year. So I thought that was a nice little thing that they did. She was 24 years old on the first day of 2008, and in 2008, January 1st, 2008. The weather was between the temperatures of it was the low was like at the 30s, the low 30s, and then the high was in the 50s. So for January 1st here in Georgia, that's like really good weather. So she decided that she wanted to go for a hike. She was an avid hiker. She had like a hiking guidebook, and she kept track of all of the different trails that she wanted to do and stuff like that. And so she left a note on her it was a chalkboard actually in her apartment. She had a roommate named Julia. So she left a note for Julia on the chalkboard saying, "Hey, I'm taking Ella. This is Ella, her dog. I'm taking Ella on a hike, and I hope you had fun the last night, the night before." So here's the note. Her roommate had gone out the night before. It was New Year's Eve, and she said, "Oh, I hope you had fun. I'm taking Ella for a walk." There's two reasons why Blood Mountain is named Blood Mountain. This is where she decided to go hiking. That day, she decided to go hiking there because it was close to her house. And not only that, she had several hiking trails that she wanted to do in the Appalachian Trail area, like the Appalachian Mountains in North Georgia. So she went to Blood Mountain. It's not named for like a bunch of murders or anything, Blood Mountain. It's named because there was two Indian tribes. Even before like the settlers got here, there was a big war that happened on this mountain. They said it's either that or because there's a specific type of flower that grows there in the spring that's a red color. So like from the distance, it looks red. So she went out to Union County, Georgia on Blood Mountain with her dog Ella and never came back. So on January 2nd, so the next day, her roommate woke up. Julia is her name. Julia wakes up and she noticed, the first thing she notices was that Ella wasn't there. And the reason she noticed Ella was missing first is because Meredith usually got up for work really early, and they had like a routine that they did. And when Meredith was going to work early, what she would do is she would take Ella out to go to the bathroom and then go back to the apartment and put Ella in Julia's room to sleep. And then once she went to work, or once Julia woke up, she would then feed Ella and go about her day as well. So Julia woke up and is like, "Where's Ella? Why isn't Ella like in my room, in my bed with me?" She looks around the apartment. Meredith's not there. She calls Meredith's work, and Meredith's employer says that, hey, she didn't show up, which was really out of character for her. She was like one of those people, like obviously she graduated with honors with this award in French and all that. So, you know, she was a hard worker. She showed up when she was supposed to. So it was very unusual that she did not show up for work. Julia didn't call the police yet, though, because she's like, well, maybe something happened. Maybe we can find her. But she did call all of Meredith's friends, like their whole friend group. And got them all over to the apartment. And they didn't know, like, you guys saw this, the chalkboard. It doesn't say where she's going hiking. They had no idea where to even look. And when you look at where they lived, there's a lot of mountains and hiking trails all over this part of North Georgia. It's just very rural, very like, there's just a lot of trails. The Appalachian Trail starts right near here. There's a lot of state parks, national parks. It's all forest. They just find her. She had this guidebook, this trail guidebook, and Meredith had gone through and highlighted different trails that she wanted to do before she finished, like before she like left North Georgia. So she had all these trails that she wanted to do. So they found the highlighted ones, and they all split up and went to different trailheads to see if they can find her car, which they did. The trailhead parking, I think, was like over here. Her boyfriend ended up finding her car parked in this parking lot. And keep in mind, this is the next day, and it had snowed overnight. So the weather was really nice on January 1st. By January 2nd, the temperature had dropped and it had snowed overnight. The boyfriend put a note on her car that said, "Don't leave, I'll be back." And then went up the trail looking for her. Well, the boyfriend called all the friends and said, "Hey, I found her car. She's on this trail." But he didn't wait for them. He put the note on the car, went up this trail. This is a lead-up trail to the Appalachian Trail. So the trail she was hiking, it wasn't the Appalachian Trail, but it was one of these like trails that got you to the Appalachian Trail. She was just going to go to the top of this mountain, which, by the way, is beautiful. It's a very good view from up there. And yeah. So he went up the trail, was calling out for her, all of that stuff, and then didn't find her. The friends who he called to say where he found the car ended up calling the police at this time, saying, she went hiking yesterday. It was cold overnight. She might be hurt. They also said that her dog would never leave her side. So even if she was hurt up there on the mountain somewhere, Ella would have stayed right with her. Ella was like one of those dogs. Actually, she was actively training Ella to be like I don't know if it's called, what is it called when they take the dogs to like the hospital to like visit sick kids and stuff? She was training Ella to be that. So once the friends arrived at that trailhead, they formed search parties and went all along the trail and looked for her. The police ended up showing up. They put together search parties. Hundreds of people ended up looking for her. I don't know if it's a service dog. News No Enemy is saying it's a service dog, but it's not like a service dog like that tells you if you're going to like have a seizure, or there's a name for it. Like you take the dog to hospitals and they visit with sick kids and they're very gentle with them, or they take them to the old people home and they, that sort of stuff. Like just visit with them, like to raise their spirits, that sort of stuff. I think Xena could probably do that job. She's very chill. She's a very chill dog. Anyway, back to the story. So they start this like big search party, and there's hundreds of people show up because it goes on the news, like it's on the news. And then they search obviously the trails there, but they start going once the police are involved. They got the helicopters up. There's like they are going off the trails, and they find an area that has disturbed leaves, Ella's dog leash, a water bottle, emotional support animal. Thank you, paracord princess. That's the words I couldn't think of. Emotional support animal. Yeah, she was training Ella to be that. So they were saying that if she was hurt up there, Ella wouldn't leave her. Okay, so sorry. They found an area just off the trail with disturbed leaves, Ella's leash, a water bottle, some milk bones, like a little plastic baggie with milk bones, and a collapsible baton, which is like the kind the police use. And, we have one of those around here somewhere. And yesterday I said to Mr. Zed, hey, put that collapsible baton in my office, because when I'm telling the story, I'm going to show them what it is. And I don't think that ever happened because I don't see it here. But it's like the kind that you like go like this and then it goes out and you can like hit somebody with it. So one of those was there too. This is very important because if it was just the disturbed leaves and the milk bones and the water bottle, they may have thought it was just, they may have thought that it was just that she had wandered off somewhere or something like that. But because of that baton was left there, they knew that there was like some sort of foul play going on. So the local sheriff's department and the park rangers ended up, once they found that baton there with the disturbed leaves, it looked like there was a struggle. They called the GBI in, which is the Georgia Bureau of Investigations. All right, I'm going to play this first news story for you.
National media attention. A Gwinnett County team and volunteers.
Uh-oh. Why? Why is it doing that? Let's close some tabs.
Searchers are lining up to help. Channel 2's Manuel Bojorquez continues our Team 2 coverage from Union County.
Well, Monica, just this afternoon, as you mentioned, we saw carloads of Gwinnett County Sheriff's deputies arrive here at Vogel State Park. We're told there are 18 of them who have now been briefed and will, of course, become an important part of this search and rescue effort.
We literally just hit the ground.
Gwinnett County Sheriff's deputies arrived at Vogel State Park this afternoon to join the growing number of people now searching for Meredith Emerson. Some are law enforcement, some are friends, some are complete strangers.
Me and my family are just on vacation. We're staying in the cabins here in Vogel, and we just volunteered because we heard the girl was missing, so we've just been staking out all day over there. And my brother was called up to go. He's up there hiking right now, but the rest of us are just sitting and waiting.
And that waiting can be just as hard as the searching for those who are close to Meredith, like Danny Purvis.
I mean, we've got so many volunteers out here and so many friends and family that we're just going to be here as long as it takes.
And as night falls here, many of those volunteers are going to start heading back down the mountain. They will be staying in some of the cabins around here and trailers that they have brought up. Again, people from all over the state and people who, as you heard, they are just vacationing here right now. All of them sounding optimistic and all of them eager, they say, at first light tomorrow morning to get back up the mountain and look for Meredith Emerson. Reporting live from Vogel State Park, I'm Manuel Bojorquez, Channel 2 Action News.
Now here again is the description of the person of interest. Investigators say he's a 60-year-old white man. He's around 5'10" and he weighs about 160 pounds. He has silver gray hair and he might be driving a white minivan. The man's dog is reddish in color and answers to the name of Dandy. If you have any information, please call this number, 706-439-60.
All right, so all of these are the news stories that I was seeing. I had just, it was 2008. We had just gotten married. We had just bought this house, but we hadn't moved into it yet, I believe. So we were still living in an apartment, but I remember being so freaked out that this person was just in my area abducting women off of trails. We used to go on the trails and stuff all the time too. So it was like I followed it very closely as it was happening. You know what I mean? It was scary, you know? Oops. There we go. All right. So as you saw at the end of that newscast, they had a person of interest in mind. And the reason they have this person of interest is because the first thing the GBI did when they got involved with this case is they looked into the phone records. The phone had been turned off almost immediately, like that same day, January 1st. So that didn't do them any good. But they looked at Meredith's bank records. And on her bank records, it showed that her ATM card was used several times. It was used twice in the first day, like the first day she went missing. Once in Blairsville and then again in Gainesville. And both times the wrong PIN number was tried to be entered. And so they pulled up the the video from the ATM, and it's obviously a man covering his face trying to use this ATM. And this is the picture that we have from the ATM security. Crazy. So right, all this is happening. There's a lot of stuff going on at the same time. So the GBI is involved. Julia is like beside herself, calling everybody she knows, getting people out there to search, and she starts calling the press. She starts calling all of the news outlets, getting Meredith's picture out there because she wants to find her friend, you know. And Meredith's family was in Colorado, so they weren't here. So she felt especially felt especially responsible for getting all of this done before they could get here, because she was her person out here. They had known each other since college, you know. They were roommates at the time. So once the news story gets out, people start calling in saying, hey, remember I was telling you it was unusually warm? So there was a lot of people on that trail that day. And they said, we think we saw Meredith, and she was talking to this guy. She was talking to this old guy that he looked a little weird. Something felt off about him. And all of these people were giving the same description of this guy. He was an older white male. He had a reddish colored golden retriever looking dog. The dog's name was Danny, is what people reported, like Danny. And we saw him getting out of a white van. Also, he had a very nice jacket, like a newer jacket on and newer backpack, but he had duct tape on his shoes. And he felt off. And he had no teeth. Those are the things they described. So there's one guy that sees this. Oh, one guy sees him concealing himself in the that's why I pulled up this picture, like off, not on the trail, but away from the trail. One guy saw him like over there, kind of hiding behind some shrubs or whatever. Almost immediately, once this description gets out, a guy calls in, and his name's John Tabor. He calls in and says, hey, that description fits one of my ex-employees, Gary Hilton. I know it's Gary Hilton because I bought him that white van when he worked for me. And I know he's got a dog. The dog's name is not Danny, it's Dandy, like Dandy. And not only that, since I bought the van, I will get the paperwork and I can give you the like the VIN number and the license plate number for the van. So bam, we know who it is. We know who this guy is. Now, he wasn't connected to the murder necessarily at the time. This is just a guy who several people who were on the trail said felt weird. He seemed weird. And we saw him talking to Meredith. So John provides the tag number to the police. The GBI were able to take that information, pull up a driver's license photo of Gary Hilton and his arrest record and all that stuff. And they put it out to the press. Like immediately put it out to the press.
New pictures of a missing hiker. Search crews are looking for her right now on Blood Mountain. Friends of Meredith Emerson sent this picture to us showing Emerson and her dog. They hope it will help authorities find her. The search for Emerson is taking place on Blood Mountain in Union County right now. We've just gotten new information. Channel 2's Ashley Hayes is live for us this afternoon with the latest. Ashley?
Well, Amanda, Meredith Emerson has been missing now for 2 bitterly cold nights. We just received information from authorities that they have named a person of interest in her disappearance. Let me go ahead and give you that description we just received. Authorities are...
Now, as you're listening to this, picture me sitting in my apartment in this area where this happened, knowing that I go on trails around this area all the time. I don't usually go alone. And Meredith was just out there with her dog. I would go with Mr. Zed, obviously, and our dog at the time. Buddy was his name. He was a beagle. He was very sweet. But I'm watching this unfold day after day. So this was January 1st. And then on January 2nd, we get the description of the guy. And this is what I'm seeing on the news.
Are looking for a 50 to 60-year-old white man, about 160 pounds. They say he may have some missing teeth. He had a dark reddish retriever who he was calling Danny and was wearing a yellow jacket and backpack. They are looking for him. He was seen on Monday when Meredith disappeared. Still, friends and family are out here looking. They are hoping that they will be able to find Emerson alive.
They know these trails, so they know where things are at.
At Vogel State Park, friends, rescuers, and for the first time, family arrived in Union County to search for 24-year-old Meredith Emerson. Emerson disappeared when she went hiking on Blood Mountain with her dog Ella New Year's Day.
Let me tell you something. Meredith Emerson could do anything. She is feisty. She is strong. She's tiny and petite, 120 pounds. But let me tell you, I have every hope that if anybody could, she can run those mountains.
She left me a note that just said, "Gone."
That's Julia that I was talking about that was doing all the press. This is Meredith's roommate, that was the first one to discover her missing. This was January 1st, 2008 that this happened.
Hiking took Ella, and that was normal. She would normally just take her dog, she loved to do, and take her dog hiking, which her dog loved, so that wasn't out of the ordinary.
Emerson lives in Beaufort, but is originally from Colorado, where she grew up hiking the Rocky Mountains. Friends and family say she is extremely familiar with the trails here, which makes her disappearance even more worrisome. After finding her car Wednesday, law enforcement discovered Emerson's water bottle and her dog's leash along a trail.
The one thing that we know, if Meredith is there, then her dog is there, and just wouldn't leave her side for anything. So we're hopeful that if they're out there, that they're together.
And the fact that Emerson has her dog is giving people a lot of hope. Friends and family also told us that Emerson is very well trained in self-defense. That also useful information at this point, because once again, authorities are naming a person of interest, a 50 to 60-year-old white man who was wearing a yellow jacket and a backpack, who also had a dog named Danny. They very much want to know who this person is. If anyone has any information, they are asked to call the Union County Sheriff's Office. We're reporting live from Blood Mountain. Ashley Hayes, Channel 2 Action News.
So, yeah, there's me watching this unfold, this horrific case, you know. Let's get this beautiful scenery of Blood Mountain back up. It's very beautiful here, by the way. I highly suggest moving to the middle of nowhere if you live in a city. I highly recommend. This is a good one because it looks like there's not a lot of leaves on the trees. And remember, this happened January 1st, so it was probably very similar to this at the time. All right, so they run Hilton's arrest record. Here's what we got. 1973, a DUI. 1982, arson and a hit and run. 1987, marijuana possession. Also 1987, theft by taking. 1995, simple assault. Also 1995, 21 counts of unlawful charitable solicitation. He also had many police contacts because he lived in his van, and he was very familiar with all of these like wildlife areas, these, you know, government run lands, and he would live in his van just like out in the woods. So this is about a police interaction that the Cherokee County Police Department had with him before. So this is not during the time that he's on the run or whatever, but this is before. But I thought it was very interesting because he's actually on video and you can hear how he's interacting with people and stuff like that.
Cherokee County Sheriff Roger Garrison.
All right, now let's start with this incident itself. It was just pretty routine at the time.
Yes, it was very routine. What happened, 911 received a call of some trespassers, quite frankly, camping on some property out what used to be the old Altoona Wildlife Management Area. That is private property now owned by some people in a hunting club. They observed this van and called 911. Our deputies responded out. When the deputy got there, he activated his video camera, called this person sort of out into it's a dirt road, out into the roadway and began to field interrogation to find out, you know, just exactly what he was up to, and first one thing and another. But that person turned out to be Mr. Hilton, that was obviously involved in the recent cases. As the deputy talked to him and interviewed him, he asked for his identification, probably one of the more unusual, well, not necessarily unusual, but he asked for Mr. Hilton's identification. As he goes over to show that to him, he states, as they're looking in the van, which this part occurs off camera, that that's an expandable baton there, don't be nervous. So he had the baton with him, stated that he never went anywhere without it, but that he had left Gwinnett County earlier in the day, had already been stopped by the Gwinnett County Police Department some 6 hours earlier. Again, I think, as I recall, the video states that he was playing with his dog in the van, and they thought he was drunk and was stopped and checked. The deputy continues to make conversation, but does do a GCIC, NCIC search of Mr. Hilton, and he comes back with no wants. The encounter itself is about 20 minutes long. Mr. Hilton was very talkative, spoke very well, and seemed to be very familiar with certainly the area he was in, but from some time ago, but that he was headed to the Cohutta. It indicated he spent a lot of time in campgrounds and stuff like that.
Good, yourself, sir? What you doing out here? Well, you're the fourth person that's come along. Am I? And asked me that. I guess they called you, didn't they? Yes, they did.
Oops, sorry, I pressed the wrong button.
I was going up I-20. I've got maps of the area, and I was headed to Cohutta. Actually from Lawrenceville, but I'm out of Chambers. Okay. And I camped out here 20 years ago. I can show you. I got a WMA map right now.
You may have 20 years ago.
Yeah,
it probably was okay.
And I was looking for Lower Sweetwater Road, and this is at night. I just couldn't seem to locate it. So I just wanted a place to camp because I'm on my way to Cohutta. I'm leaving. As a matter of fact, I'm getting my maps together. I got to buy some maps right now.
That's why I just came out to say, this is lease hunting property, and they're very strict about who.
I see that, man. The first guy out here. Well, anyway, he says I'm in a shooting range. Is this a county road there? Well, anyway, I know the story with the deer. If there's deer hunters around there, I can be wearing a purple shirt, that red backpack, and they're going to tell me I'm going to get shot. But, that's a common threat. They're very petite. I understand. Then another guy comes along, we pay big money to lease, and I said, I'm leaving. I said, how much you paid? Waterman, he wouldn't tell me. Then the third guy came along on an ATV out of here. He was cool. He was cool. 300 Winchester mag.
So I want you guys to notice how, keep in mind, this is the guy that killed Meredith. He's just acting like just the way he comes across. He seems like he could be your next door neighbor. He seems like a guy that could, you could run into at a grocery store and have a very nice conversation with and go along with your day and think, oh, that was a nice guy. He just seems very, he's getting kicked out of here. He's not pitching a fit. He's like, I'm sorry, I didn't know I couldn't be here. They told me, that's why I'm packing up. I'm out of here,
Magnum, four-wheeler. Now that's a real guy there. We talked a lot. They pay $475 a year. Didn't he make me move? We took his ATV. Didn't he make me move? I'm leaving. I'm getting out of here. God Almighty!
It's dangerous enough. And this week it'll be really bad.
It was noon. It was noon, midnight or later.
Well, can I get your ID real quick?
Yeah, you sure can. And it's in a. You see that fanny pack right there?
Yes. Are there any weapons in that fanny pack?
Absolutely not. And I'm going to bring it to you.
Okay.
I'm waiting on About 3 months ago, I had, I live in Chambly, and city of Chambly, but I was running into Cab North Precinct. And I had some people call the law on me. I was running my dog, about 11:30 at night. I wear that pack with the carry and that's stuff, too. I got a big pack there that I really got. Anyway, they called, I have multiple sclerosis. Sometimes I kind of, do that. And so apparently the dog had stopped to sniff something, and I was kind of just like going like that in the, in the street light waiting for him. The Cab North showed up. I knew the officer stuff, and because I get police call on me so much. People, they call. He showed me.
Got one of those looks.
No, they're crazy, man. I'm telling you, they're crazy. He showed me on the computer screen. It was a man walking in circles with a white police car.
That's what you were doing.
They called the police on me in the middle of the street.
You know that. Nobody walks in circles around here.
Hey, I love you.
Mr. Hilton, you take care. Be safe.
So that's it. Seems perfectly normal, right? No, he's not normal. He's not normal, guys. Okay, so here's the thing I got to tell you guys about this guy. That I did something for you so you don't have to. In 1995, Mr. Gary Hilton wrote or co-wrote and produced a movie that went straight to video, but I found it and I watched it. It's called Deadly Run. And actually, I'm going to see if I couldn't find a trailer for it, but let me pull up the IMDb because I forgot to do that. Deadly Run movie. 1995 it came out. All right, here we go. Uh-oh. Uh-oh. Something's happening. Oh, what is happening? I don't know. Can you guys hear me? Am I still on? Can you hear me? So like, put a 1 in the chat if the stream is still going and you can hear me. Put a 2 in the chat if you can't hear me. Okay, you guys can hear me. Okay. I just got like a bunch of like notifications saying that it was dying. Like, uh-oh. Connection errors and stuff like that. Okay. Perfect. Okay, so this movie, Deadly Run, I watched the whole 134 minutes of it, whatever. It was like an hour and a half. And I'm telling you, this movie's about a guy who picks up prostitutes, takes them out to the woods, and then hunts them down and kills them. Goosebumps just telling you guys about it, knowing that that's what he ended up doing. He ended up like hunting people in the woods, basically. It's the most awful movie I've ever watched in my entire life. I highly recommend not watching it. You can watch it for free on Vimeo is where I found it, if you did want to check it out. I wouldn't do that if I were you. But yeah, he's credited right here as a writer for this movie, Deadly Run. Oh, the things I do for you people. The things I do. Back to Meredith. So now we're getting to the point where they need to find this Gary guy. They need to find him. Actually, before we move on, just because Erica has donated, so this will be about the halfway point. Anyway, so we're going to do a commercial. This show is brought to you today by me, because who would actually sponsor this crap? I'm not sure. But I do have a website. It is kdz.com. And if you go to kdz.com, you can use discount code XENA10, that's XENA 10 for 10% off anything you see on there. Lots of great stuff on the website. Xena has her own merchandise. You can get a shirt that says True Crime with Xena featuring KDZ. You can get an Overruled stainless steel travel mug, and it's even smaller at the bottom. It's supposed to be able to fit in your cup holder in your car. That's what they said anyway. There is the normal Overruled t-shirts. There's Crimeland merchandise. Everything's over there. Everything is 10% off the whole month of September. If you use discount code XENA10, it'll probably go into October because I would actually have to go into the website and take that code out of there. And, I procrastinate a lot. So XENA10 will probably work for a long time. I set it up just for September, but I didn't put a date in there. There's coffee mugs. There's that zipper pouch I just showed you. I even have a Christmas ornament. Get one of those. It has a magnet on the back. So if you want to use it as a refrigerator magnet, you can do that too. Good stuff all around. Also, one more thing. If you want to support the show, if you like what I do, if you think what I do here is worth donating, please donate. And you can do that at buymeacoffee.com/KDZ. And what that does is it buys Xena a milk bone. Speaking of Xena, her camera accidentally turned off. But Erica did do that a little while ago. So we are going to give Xena a milk bone right now. This will be the end of the advertisements. If you do end up donating again throughout the show, I'll do this again towards the end of the show, but I don't want to interrupt the case to do the milk bone thing today. All right, Xena. She puts in a lot of work here. Do you see how hard she's working? Come on. This is from Miss Erica. She loves you so much. Do a touch. Good girl. Yes, good girl. Thank you, Erica. I appreciate that. I appreciate that very much. Back to the story. Oh, I left a little QR code up there. If you guys are looking to where to go or what to do or whatever, you can definitely do that. All right, so where we're on Blood Mountain. We're looking for Erica. She's nowhere to be found. Her dog, Ella, nowhere to be found. We see, we get the witness statements of the guy who was weird. Everybody said he seemed off. He seemed off. He was an older guy. We figure out because John Tabor, his ex-boss, called in and said, that is my ex-employee, Gary Michael Hilton. And he was a weirdo. And I definitely think you guys should find him. So while all this is going down, you know, that newscast that I just showed you had gone out already. And okay, so the newscast had gone out already. John Tabor calls into the police department. While all this is happening, John Tabor gets a call from Gary asking for money. And John Tabor thinks to himself, I can set this guy up. I'm already in contact with the police. I have a direct number to call. So he tells Gary, he acts like nothing is wrong, not a care in the world. Sure, Gary, I'll give you money, no problem. I'll put it in an envelope and I'll leave it wherever this place is they used to work, like under the mat or wherever. He's going to hide it somewhere at this office outside so he can just go pick it up. No problem. So he does this and tells the police, like, hey, he just called me asking for money. I put money out at this business and he's going to come pick it up. So get over here, stake out the place. Well, Gary never shows up. But I thought that was pretty good. That, what is going on? I thought that was pretty good that John...
Thank you very much. Meanwhile, we're learning a lot.
Thought that he was going to, like, catch the dude. So he never showed up there. Okay, play third news story. This is the third. I think this is the last longer news story that I'm going to play. So this is after we know who he is and all of that.
A lot more tonight about Gary Hilton and the time that he spent after allegedly kidnapping Meredith Emerson. While at a Pickens County huddle house, Hilton called his former boss. This was the day before the GBI says he killed Emerson and dumped her body in Dawson County. Our team coverage begins tonight with 11 Alive's John Sherrick. John spoke exclusively by phone with that former boss, and he's joining us in DeKalb County now. John?
Ted and Brenda, so many people were trying to help the GBI last week find Gary Hilton and rescue Meredith Emerson. Tonight we know that this past Thursday, when Meredith Emerson was still alive, still a prisoner of Gary Hilton, Hilton's former boss tried to set a trap for Hilton here at the siding business on Claremont Road in DeKalb County where Hilton used to work, using money as the bait.
And what I did was attempt to set a trap to enable the authorities to catch him.
John Tabor says Gary Hilton called him late Thursday afternoon out of the blue asking for work. Hilton had worked on and off for 10 years at Tabor's siding business headquartered on Claremont Road in DeKalb County. Well, Hilton called Tabor from the phone at this Huddle House restaurant on Highway 53 in Pickens County. No one could have known that just then, Meredith Emerson was Hilton's prisoner, alive and restrained inside Hilton's van in the restaurant parking lot. Hilton told Tabor on the phone he just needed to go back to work right away.
He said he needed some money to get started, so I told him I told him I would leave a check for him at the office on Claremont Road for him to retrieve the following day, Friday.
What Gary Hilton didn't know when he called Tabor was that Tabor had already called the GBI about Hilton. Tabor called the GBI as soon as he heard that Meredith Emerson was missing from the hiking trail on Blood Mountain in Union County. Tabor knew Hilton camped in the wilderness there, and based on what he knew of Hilton, suspected Hilton might be the one who kidnapped Meredith. So Tabor had already given the GBI Hilton's name, van description, and license tag numbers. And right after Hilton called Tabor, Tabor called the GBI again, and the GBI raced to the huddle house trying to catch up to Hilton and Emerson. But the GBI says Hilton killed Emerson the next day in Dawson County, one day after calling his former boss to plan his future.
That was the last contact I had from Gary Hilton, and apparently when they picked him up, he was en route to get that check.
John Tabor says he wants Meredith Emerson's family to know he did everything he could to help police catch Hilton and save Meredith.
Now, Tabor is out of state and expects to return home to Metro Atlanta in the next few days, grieving, he said, along with everyone else, including all the people at the huddle house in Pickens County, wondering, agonizing over what more they could have done. Reporting live from DeKalb County, John Sherrick, 11 Alive News.
John, thank you very much.
All right, now Gary Michael Hilton is sitting in the Dawson County Jail waiting for his next court appearance. In the meantime, 2 other law enforcement agencies are looking at Hilton as a suspect in unsolved cases.
Okay. We'll get to the unsolved cases later. I just wanted you guys to see that little part with the with that John Tabor calling into the news station. I thought that was interesting. And I usually only give people's first names, but I knew he was going on the news, and he gives his full name, so that's why Julie is only called Julia in my version of the story. These are real people who really lost a loved one and that sort of stuff. So on January 4th, okay, so keep in mind that Meredith disappears on the 1st. On the 2nd, they realize she's missing, do the whole search party, find the baton and the milk bones and the dog leash, all of that. That's on the 2nd. On the 3rd, John Tabor calls and says, hey, it's my ex-employee. Also on the 3rd, Gary calls John Tabor and says, hey, give me money. Now we're on January 4th. On January 4th, Ella wanders into this Kroger, like inside the Kroger. Some stories should say it was in the parking lot. However, in another a documentary that I watched about this case, there's footage of the dog wandering in the front doors of this Kroger, and they find the dog. People there, because this is like all over every news story is this story, right? At this time, nothing else was happening. So everybody knows about this girl that's missing, the dog, like the guy, all of it. They say, hey, this looks like the dog that's missing, although it didn't have a collar or tags or anything, but it did have a microchip. So they took it and scanned it and was confirmed that this was Ella that wandered into this Kroger right here. Right at that time, when all this was happening, a woman calls and reports that Gary Michael Hilton called her asking for money. She says, I haven't talked to this dude in years, and he just out of the blue called me asking for money. And I said to him, don't you know the whole world is looking for you? At that point, he hung up the phone on her. She wrote down what number had called her. It was probably a cell phone. So she had it in her phone, gives it to the police. And that call came from this Quick Trip right here, right across the street from the Kroger. There's used to be a payphone outside of the Quick Trip. I haven't been there. Maybe there still is a payphone. I'm not sure. I don't think there are payphones. Are there payphones anymore? Probably not. But in 2008, there was a payphone outside of this Quick Trip that Gary used to call this woman. So the police get there. They know the guy was there, so they start poking around this Quick Trip. And yes, life to the max. This is I'll zoom out so you can see where we're at. This is in North Georgia. And I did watch this as it was happening, like on the news. So you can see where Atlanta is here. All right, so they're processing the scene at this Quick Trip right here, and they look in the dumpster. Inside the dumpster, they find stuff that belonged to Meredith. They find her wallet that had her ID in it. They find Meredith's clothing drenched in blood. They find men's boots also with blood on them. While they're at the scene of the Kroger and the QT, like processing the scenes, a man calls into 911 and says, "Hey, I see the guy y'all are looking for. I'm sitting in my car and I'm looking at him. He's at this gas station at the Chevron down the road on Ashford Dunwoody Road. And he's here. What do you want me to do?" Where is that? Oh, no. I thought I had that call pulled up. All right. Sorry. I got to do some behind the scenes because this guy is great. And I thought I had the call pulled up and I don't. And this guy's a hero. This guy is an absolute hero. Talk amongst yourselves. Here it is. I'm just checking to make sure this is it. Before I put something on the screen.
Take a listen to this.
All right. Here we go. I got it, guys. That wasn't too bad. All right. So, like I said, they're processing these scenes up in Gainesville where the Kroger and stuff was, and they get this call.
Okay, I have 911. What's the exact location?
I have the person of interest in that missing woman case is at this Chevron gas station on Ashford Dunwoody.
Chevron gas station at Ashford Dunwoody?
Yeah.
You said the man is there?
The van is here. The dog is here, the red dog, and I saw the man's face, and I've been watching the news, and I know it's him. He's got a green long sleeve sweatshirt, and he's wearing a hat, and he's emptying all this stuff out of his van. Pillows and a blanket, and it looks like he's got a sleeping bag right now. Taking it all to the trash. It's definitely
and the dumpster is
looking around like he is as guilty as sin.
Okay, sir, and the dumpster is at the...
I don't know how somebody's walking around like they're guilty of sin, but apparently that's what this guy saw in Gary Michael Hilton. I don't know what kind of walk that looks like. Like, is it like a slumped over walk? Like, I don't know. He's walking around like he's guilty of sin.
Where's the location?
Yeah, the dumpster, well, it's kind of right in the front. It's right by the car wash.
Okay.
I can go take him down if you want.
No, sir, stay right there.
This would be my husband if he saw a guy who was wanted in a murder. I can go get him if you want. I can go take him down if you want. I'll go get him.
Okay.
Okay, hold on, sir.
He looks like he's finishing up. You guys gotta hurry. He's got stuff in bags that he's emptied onto the ground, and he's taking load by load to the dumpster behind the car wash. This is the third backpack we've seen him take to the dumpster. Oh, I'm just shaking. You guys, is there somebody en route?
Yes, sir.
Here we go. Here comes the cops.
Yes. Yes. Police are there?
Yes. Yes. They got him.
They got him?
I mean, they don't have him yet, but they're getting out. So they got him now. Here, 2 cruisers pulled up on him. 2 of the cab's finest.
How about that?
Kudos.
And thanks to that guy,
How about that is right, blonde lady from Fox News. How about that? This guy's a hero. A hero. I'll go take him down if you want. All right. You know how I had said we're not going to stop the show to do Milk Bones till the end because this is a very sad case and I want to get through it. We're stopping the show to do Milk Bones right now. And I'm going to tell you why. I'm going to put it on the screen. I remember I told you guys that you can, I'm monetized on Rumble and you can donate over there. Let's put the Rumble link up there. If you guys subscribe to my Rumble, you can donate straight from there. And somebody did. 2 people did. So we're going to put that over there. We got Quest in the beginning, but Waffle Salter donated $100 just now. So we are going to make it rain Milk Bones right now. I might even bring the other 2 dogs in here. Honestly, I think they deserve Milk Bones as well. So all right, I'm going to get the other 2 dogs. I'll be right back. Thank you so much, Waffle Salter. Here is Ava. Ava, shake. Do a shake. That's a good girl. Do a shake. That's a good girl. And can you see? Let's move that so you can see. That's a good girl. There we go. All right, now get out. Thank you so much. I love you guys. You're so sweet to me. Like I said, you can go over to Rumble. You could watch the show live over there. I almost always have the chat up. I did have it turned off when that happened because when the stream was dropping before, I turned off everything that was non-essential because I was afraid it was my internet, you know? No, my price is $1,000 at this point, Life to the Max, because my mom says I can't. So in order to get the wrath of mom, it's going to have to be $1,000. It's going to have to be. I don't want to hear it, so from my mom. It'll happen someday. Probably not, but it might. You never know. Don't forget, if you want to buy Xena and Milkbone, we're going to do it at the end of the show still. But you can do it at either go over to Rumble, donate straight on there, or go to buymeacoffee.com/KDZ. You can also get all of your merchandise at kdz.com. Use discount code Xena10 if you want 10% off. All right. Don't do it, Waffle. I set a price specifically so that that wouldn't happen. You're going to have to explain it to my mom if that happens. You're going to have to. She's here. Your mama is in the chat. You explain it to her. Where are my notes? I got all discombobulated. All right, so they're processing the scenes. Oh, okay. So they go to this spot and they catch him. You heard the guy talking when the cops got there. They got him in handcuffs, all that. They start looking in the trash can there because obviously on that call, they said that the guy said, hey, he's walking around looking guilty as sin, throwing stuff into the dumpster. So they looked the dumpster. They looked in the dumpster and they found hundreds between the 2 dumpsters, the van, hundreds of pieces of evidence connecting Meredith to him. Her blood, obviously, her bloody clothes, her wallet, all of this stuff is found. And they start processing, the crime scene investigators start processing. Hilton goes to jail. They interview him and he gives this interview that, by the way, I love you guys so much. I watched the whole thing. It was awful. It was 4.5 hours long or something like that. And during this interview, he doesn't say very much during this 4.5 hour one. But the next day, they bring him back in and they say, hey, guess what? Meredith's blood is all over your van, dude. What the heck? You know, what happened to her? And he ends up confessing. And they give him an option. Like, you can, you know, we got all this evidence. You can either say you didn't do it and we're going to get the death penalty, you know, or you can tell us where Meredith is and we will look for, we'll ask the prosecution, or I guess the prosecution is the one giving him this, will do the life in prison instead of the death penalty. So he starts singing like a bird, of course. And he said that Meredith is over here in the Dawson Forest Wildlife Management Park. So I did from Blood Mountain, where she was taken, to this Dawson Forest. And this is over by, it's up right up 575 from Atlanta, near Big Canoe, Ball Ground, Talking Rock, that area there. Amicalola Falls. It's actually where her body was found, is right along the Amicalola Creek, which is what feeds the Amicalola Falls. Also, Amicalola Falls is a hiking trail that I've been on many times, and that is the very start of the Appalachian Trail. So this is the Dawson Wildlife Management Area, and this is the Amicalola Creek here. Her body was found on the south side of a dirt road about 50 yards in from a locked gate. It was under leaves and branches, but not buried. Meredith's head was found under a log about a half mile further down the dirt road. The GBI had, they found the body from the description that he gave. And they found the body. I'm not supposed, this is horrible. I can't laugh at this part. Marvel, behave yourself. And yes, where she was abducted from is near that Chunky Girl Trail that I was telling you about. But not here. So they found the body from the description. He said, like, we go to this dirt road and that gate that they have, like, no cars beyond this point or whatever, 50 yards past that on the south side of the road, that's where you're going to find her body. And they did. They couldn't find her head from the description because it was just like he didn't know exactly how far. He's like, I don't know, about a half a mile down. And they couldn't find it. So they get him out of jail and bring him over here. And he actually knows exactly where it is. He's in restraints, leg irons, the whole thing, chains. I don't know what the difference is. And brings them straight to her head. And they find that under a log. An autopsy was done the very next day. Meredith died of blunt force trauma to the head. She was decapitated post-mortem. And once all this happened, Gary just really started talking. Let's get some more beautiful mountains up here. Actually, let's do these mountains. I'm sure this probably has beautiful photos too. Here we go. That's Amicalola Falls. Put that up there. It's very peaceful. This is near where, like I said, near where she was found. Okay, so he starts talking a lot at this point. He said that he saw Meredith on Blood Mountain Trail, and he approached her and Ella and made small talk about the dogs. You know, when you're dog owners, you talk about your dogs or whatever. So that's what he did. She was friendly, but ended the conversation and continued along the trail. Then he hid in the brush. Remember that guy saw him hiding in the brush? He hid in the brush and waited for her to come back down the mountain. At that point, Hilton pulled out a knife and told Meredith that all I want is money. I'm not going to hurt you. You just need to walk back down to your car with me and give me your wallet and your car and whatever. And apparently, Meredith, much like me, and I don't give people this advice, but I know if I was ever in this situation, I think this is why this one gets me so much, because I think Meredith is a lot like me, because she did not hesitate and she jumped on this guy once he said that. She jumped on him so fast, she grabbed the knife by the blade and started punching him. Now, she did martial arts. I used to do martial arts. She was a blue belt, and I tried to figure out what martial art she was a blue belt in. I'm not sure. I was a brown belt, or I guess once you're a brown belt, you always are. I don't think you lose that. I haven't done it in a while, but I'm a brown belt in Hapkido. So I'm pretty sure that if that happened to me, all of that muscle memory would just click back in and I would start fighting the heck out of him. He said that, this is what he's saying. And I think it's true, because when they end up catching him, he's got all these defensive wounds on him. He said that she grabbed the blade of the knife trying to fight him off. Several times Hilton gained control of Meredith, and she would pretend to be compliant and then wait for an opportunity and start attacking him again. He said that this happened over and over again all the way down the mountain, where she would pretend to okay, I'll go along with you. And then elbow him in the face and stuff like that. Good girl, by the way. Don't do that if you're not if you don't just always cooperate. Don't go to the second location ever, though. Don't ever go to the second location. She's right. Don't go to the second location. Nothing good ever happens at the second location. It never ends well. I wouldn't recommend fighting off a grown man unless you're trained in that sort of thing. Just saying. Also, what are you walking in the woods without pepper spray or something like that for? It's fine. She did good. He got her back to his van and chained her to the inside of the van. There was a chains on the floorboard where she was chained in there. Hilton drove to 4 or 5 ATMs, asking Meredith for her PIN number, and every single time she gave him the wrong PIN number. So her bank was probably sending out notifications saying, hey, is something wrong? And each time he would beat her, he would assault her sexually and beat her to try to get the correct PIN number. And she convinced him every time, every one of these 5 ATMs, when he got out of the van to go to the ATM, he thought she was finally telling the truth, but she never ended up giving up her PIN number. He kept her alive until January 4th. At that point, he took her into the woods. He chained her to a tree. And then he left to go back to his van. When he got back to Meredith, she thanked him for coming back, because she thought that he had chained her to a tree and just left her there to slowly die of starvation or whatever. So because he kept telling her, I'm going to let you go. I'm going to let you go. But he was never planning on letting her go. That was never the plan. So when he got back to her after chaining her to the tree, going to his van and coming back, she thanked him for coming back. And at that point, he hit her in the head with a tire iron over and over again until she died. At that point, he undressed her, he decapitated her, and he poured liquid bleach all over her in an attempt to destroy evidence. He ended up pleading guilty on January 31st. He was indicted on January 31st, and then he also pled guilty to her murder on January 31st. So let's hear from a representative from her family.
The family of Meredith Emerson would like to extend their heartfelt thanks and appreciation to the following good people: Union County and Dawson County Sheriff's Department Fire and Rescue Departments, the Georgia Bureau of Investigation, and the 60-plus involved agencies in the search and eventual recovery of Meredith. The family would like to express their appreciation in the professionalism and the compassion of the local and national media, and thank you again for helping to facilitate getting information out about Meredith, as well as helping the world learn to know her and to learn to love her as we always have and we always will. We would like to thank the untold number of friends and volunteers and family who helped search and support all of us at this tragic and troubling time. There will be a memorial service for Meredith at Central Presbyterian Church here in Athens at 2:00 p.m. on Friday. The family will also hold a memorial service for Meredith in Longmont, Colorado at a later time. For those who wish to honor Meredith with a donation, we would ask that you contribute to your local animal rescue shelter. Thank you so much and good day.
All right. So you know how I said Meredith reminded me of me? Not only does she do martial arts, her charity of choice is an animal shelter. Do you guys know that I volunteer at my local dog rescue? And all of my dogs are rescues. All of them. All of these mutts over here. Look. 1 mutt, 2 mutts, all rescues. If you take nothing away from the stream, please remember, adopt, don't shop. And don't go to the second location. I think those are the 2 big takeaways. Now, there's much more to this case. However, it was a lot to cover and I had a lot going on. This is the first time I'm ever doing this, but there's going to be a part 2 to this story, to the scary Michael Hilton story. Part 1 was Meredith, and I wanted to tell her story and give her the time it required. What happens is there's more evidence in his van that they don't know where it goes to. So they're trying to figure it out. They're finding blood samples to people that they don't know. And they want to figure it out. So there's neighboring states are calling in all of these missing people who went missing from trails and stuff like that to see if it matches. So this is a little preview for what's going to happen next week.
With their investigation spilling into 3 states, officials from Georgia, Florida, and North Carolina are now working together to see if any links exist between murders of hikers in the last few months and the man at the center of the investigation, Gary Hilton. He's already been charged with the killing of 24-year-old Meredith Emerson in Georgia, and now police confirm that Hilton is a suspect in the deaths of both an elderly couple in North Carolina and a woman in Florida. A break came in the case when this North Carolina woman's license plate was found attached to Hilton's white van at the time of his arrest.
I started to cry, and I was like, oh my God, to just know that monster was that close.
Andrea Steinhabel says in October her car broke down near a national park in North Carolina, the same park where John and Irene Bryant were killed while hiking. She thinks Hilton must have stolen her tags.
I reached in and took them.
Witnesses in Florida also tell police they remember seeing Hilton near Tallahassee in December when Sunday school teacher Cheryl Dunlap's body was found, like Emerson's, decapitated.
We hope that we will be able to obtain physical evidence that will put him with our victim.
Images from an ATM camera were released of a masked man using Dunlap's debit card in the days following her death. Hilton is suspected of using Emerson's bank card as well. Authorities also believe Hilton may be connected to yet another woman's disappearance in Florida back in 2005. John Belmont, The Associated Press.
So we'll pick that up next week, and I'm going to tell you about the couple that went missing from North Carolina and also the Sunday school teacher that went missing from Florida. There's always a link to Florida in all of these cases, isn't there? There always has to be a Florida link. It should be interesting. I was going to just tuck them in at the end, but then I realized that all 3 of these other people definitely need to have their stories told, and they shouldn't just be brushed aside. Most of the time when you see this case in any sort of media, it focuses on Meredith because she's the one that it was like, that's how they caught him. But all of these people deserve to have their stories told. Not only that, those are the 3 that he's ended up having evidence for and convicted of. However, there's many other cases that they think he's connected to. So I want to tell as many of those stories as I can next week. So I was going to do a crime land because you know how I like to do the crime lands, but I think this deserves my attention. I hope that all of you, let me just check to make sure there's no more donations that I need to. Okay. I didn't think so. I'm not really that kind of channel where I get super chats. And I have very great supporters who I love very much, but they're not like rolling in, and I appreciate each and every one of them so much. It really warms my heart. I will see all of you same time next week, Sunday, 4:30. My new outro song is complete and it's been mixed and it is ready and it is premiering right now. Tell me in the comments after the show how you like the new outro song. It was written for me by my friend Steven in December of last year. Here, I'll put this up. Somebody's asking. Well, I tell you about the outro song and how long it took to get. There's the thing. It's buy me a coffee at Katie or /KDZ. The QR code is up there too. Okay, so December of last year was written for me, or it was written, and then this is the first time I heard it was probably January. I want to say January is the first time I heard it, just like on my piano in my living room. He played it and just sang it. And then he was going into the studio in the springtime, and it was supposed to be done by like May, the end of May. And then there was delay after delay in the recording studio, and it finally was completed last week, maybe a week and a half ago, 2 weeks ago. It was finally completed, but it ended up being 7.5 minutes long. And I'm like, dude, I can't have a 7-minute long outro. That's a lot. So I just had him cut it up a little bit. And anyway, we're going to play it right now. I'm very excited about it. Let me know what you think of it. It's the first time I think I've ever had my own song. The Florida man that I play is also written by Steven, but it wasn't written specifically for that. It's just one of his songs that I kind of stole, because it went well with the crime segments that I do. So this is it. I'll see you guys next week. Thank you very much for coming. Have a great night.
I can't understand what you're saying. We're late stage in the catacombs. Shuffling a single card today. Broken table trying to play some ping pong. It's not subtle when we celebrate a magazine with the pages torn. My body cracks, knees buckling. I got a bad case of brain fog. Said I got a bad case of brain fog. So I'ma take my butt home. So I'ma take my butt home. Rearranged. I need my soul. Rearranged. I need some soul. I need some rain. I need my soul. I need my soul. Rearranged. Location is buffering, motivating me to take it out front. Pulsating and puzzling, turn my brain into egg foo young. I struck a vein, I'm suffering, my mockingbird can't